Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Feuz, the host of Feuzion News, and I am live on the phone right now with Mr. Leigh Steinberg, a sports agent, and he has his own agency business called Steinberg Sports. So, Leigh, how are you doing this afternoon in California? I know it's rainy and chilly here in upstate New York, but how is the life out there in California today?
Well, it happens, Alex, that my office overlooks Newport Bay, which is Newport Beach is about 30 miles south of Los Angeles, and there are boats gliding by, and the sun's in the sky, and so we empathize with you for your rain, but that's why 40 million people moved here.
Yeah, that's so true. And this weekend looks nice. And we, got lucky yesterday. It was a 75 beautiful day. I enjoyed a baseball game yesterday. It was a nice day. So I have to ask you this one. I know a lot of people probably ask you this main question. What made you want to become a sports agent when you were growing up?
There really was no field of sports agentry when I was growing up. I went to law school at the University of California, Berkeley, and while I was in law school, I was working as an undergrad dorm as a counselor for the dorm, grad counselor and RA, and they moved the freshman football team into the dorm in the early 70s, and several years later, one of the players we had there, Steve Bartkowski, became the very first player picked in the first round of the NFL draft by the Atlanta Falcons, and he asked me to represent him. Well, I was thinking about being a district attorney, maybe corporate law, had some other job offers, but there we were, brimming with legal experience. I had the first pick in the first round of the draft, and we got lucky. We got the largest rookie contract in NFL history, and I remember arriving in Atlanta, and there were Klieg lights in the sky. A huge crowd was pressed up against the police line, and the first thing we heard was, we interrupt the Johnny Carson show to bring you a special news bulletin. Steve Bartkowski and his attorney have just arrived at the Atlanta airport. We switch you live for an in-depth interview. So I realized that athletes were the movie stars. They were the celebrities in communities across the country. And I just had my 43rd draft. So there's been a big evolution in the field.
So, Leigh, if you did not become a sports agent, what would you want to do?
I was sort of raised with a focus towards politics, so most people thought I might have, ended up running for Senate and certainly criminal law was what I aspired to. So I might have been a criminal attorney or district attorney. The other thing was I had a few offers in television news, and that would have been a possibility. But essentially, my dad brought us up with two core values. One was to treasure relationships, especially family, and the second was to try to make a difference in the world and help people who couldn't help themselves. So role modeling and making a difference in the world has been key, and that's why we have players go back to the high school community they were raised in, set up a scholarship fund, or work with the church or boys and girls club, or at the collegiate level, a player like Troy Aikman endowed a full scholarship at UCLA, or Edgerrin James at Miami, or Kerry Collins at Penn State. And then at the pro level, set up a charitable foundation where they have the leading political figures, business figures, and economic leaders sitting on a board where they execute a program. So work done, just put the 161st single mother and her family into the first home they'll ever own by making a down payment and having Home Depot outfitted.
Yeah, that's great work that you've done. And I have to ask this question next. I know you have been a sports agent for over 41 years now, and I have to ask you this one. When you look at an athlete, what do you analyze about potentially like evaluation? What do you look for in a player?
Well, the first thing you look for is character. So we're looking for role models, and you're looking for an understanding of family, self-respect, importance of living in a community, and you're looking for players with ambition for second careers. So the three of the players that I represented became minority owners of NFL teams. So you're looking for people who have the capacity in second career to go out and make a difference. Athletically, all the core skills, size, strength, speed, athletic ability, agility, and of course character. But you look for players who in critical situations, when adversity hits them, who are able to elevate their level of play, compartmentalize, tune out all the distractions, and elevate their level of play to try to pull a team along on their back to victory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Leigh, what has been your favorite career moment for you?
I think that when Troy Aikman won his first Super Bowl back in 1993, or Steve Young won his first Super Bowl in 1994, later Ben Roethlisberger, to be out there with them on the field. In the case of Steve Young, he had been in the shadow of Joe Montana, so he ran up to me and hugged me and said, "The monkey's off my back, the monkey's off my back." Those were special moments. Presenting Warren Moon, being his presenter at the Hall of Fame when he went in, we had worked for 23 years together. That's really special too. And then being at a charitable event where, for example, Warren Moon is awarding a scholarship and then asks everybody in the room to stand up who's gone to school on one of his scholarships, and you see these dozens and dozens of kids stand up. That's special too.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you, of course, have had so many conversations with so many athletes and just people in general, but I have to ask you, what is your most funny conversation you had with an athlete in your 40-plus year career as a sports agent?
I remember once I had an offensive lineman who we were up for contract negotiation, and the training camp had gone on for a week, and he was out of training camp, and so I called him up and told him that the team had agreed to the offer, which would make him like the highest paid offensive tackle in football. And he said, "I'm disappointed in you." And I said, "What?" I said, he said, "I don't want it." And I said, "Wait a second. We made an offer that we had no real clue that the team would take. They've just taken it." He said, "I told you I didn't want to be in training camp for the first month, and now I have to go."
So if you could give any advice to that player, you don't really have, you aren't supposed to say that, right?
Really, I'm going to tell the team, "No, we don't want your offer because my player is tired of training camp. He doesn't think he needs it, and so he's going to sit out."
Oh, boy. Well, Leigh, before we wrap up this interview, I have to ask you this one, the final question here. Best advice you've ever received and the best advice you could give to someone else?
Well, the best advice I ever got was, from my father, who would say, when you're looking for someone to make a difference in the world, someone to solve a problem, someone to take the lead, you keep waiting for someone else to do it, someone who's older, government. He would say, "You could wait forever," and he'd look at me and he'd say, "The they is you, son. You are the they." The best advice I could give someone else is to hone their listening skills. People think that agentry is about suasion. It really is a talent to be able to create a level of trust and get another human being to open up, peel back the layers of the onion, and eventually share their deepest anxieties and fears and their greatest hopes and dreams. And if you can put yourself in the heart and mind of another human being and see the world the way that they see it, you can gracefully navigate your way towards life. And in agentry, it's an instrumental skill set in recruiting clients, negotiating contracts, solving any disputes. You have to have the capacity to understand the values and priorities and point of view of another person. And understanding that, then you can start to craft solutions.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just wrapped up this interview. One of the greatest sports agents ever in history, Mr. Leigh Steinberg. I want to say thank you for joining me on my show tonight. And where can the fans follow you on Twitter and on social media? And, of course, check out Steinberg Sports online.
Well, I tweet at Leigh Steinberg, and our website is steinbergsports.com. We're actually doing a phone call next week for people who email j@steinbergsports.com, for aspiring young agents, and we hold agent academies, so you can check our website out if you're interested in the field.
Okay, great. Thank you again, Leigh, for coming on my show today, and I greatly do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay, Feuzion, just heard it from the one and only Leigh Steinberg, one of the top sports agents ever in history. He's been a sports agent for over 41 years. He's, been the agent for Drew Bledsoe. You heard Troy Aikman in there. One of the greatest guys you could get advice from. You heard some great advice from him, great funny stories from him as well. And okay, Feuzion, I just want to say thank you for joining me on my show today on this rainy day. Not great weather day, but thank you for taking the time out of your day to come listen to this show. And I want to say follow me on Twitter at AlexFeuz. You can also find all my other episodes here on YouTube. Be sure to always be a subscriber of the Feuz Nation, Feuzion News. Just hit the subscribe button right underneath this video. Comment below of what you think about the show. Thanks for watching, and I will be seeing you very soon. Have a great day, everyone.